All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us at our first virtual roundtable. I am Kelsey Jordan Lee, Interim Director of Economic Development. Have just a couple of housekeeping tips. We will be leaving everyone on mute for right now. Please feel free to submit questions via the Q&A feature. I will be monitoring that while Mr. Morris gives his presentation. This is our first time to try this format, so if we have trouble with technology, we just ask for your grace and patience as we sort things out. We will have this recorded and sent out to the participants by the end of this week. We do have quite a few things we want to cover today, and we certainly want to make sure we leave plenty of time for Q&A so we can get to the questions that you specifically have. So with that, I will go ahead and turn it over to Mr. Dustin Morris, who is our Business Retention and Expansion Specialist.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kelsey, for the great introduction. And hello, everybody. I see we have about 7 participants, so I'm super happy to see all of you all here. I want to thank you all for taking the time out of your day. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen for the PowerPoint presentation that we put together. As Ms. Lee said, we're going to go a little quick with it just because we really want to focus on the Q&A part of it, really have this as a round table discussion, but we did want some talking points to hit off of. So I will actually share my screen now. Perfect. And then just let me know if there's any issues with viewing my screen. It should be the PowerPoint presentation. But I just want to start off with our contact information. Most of you have my contact information or have Kelsey's if you've worked with her in the past, but we will provide this to all the participants. Let's see. So the next slide is actually going to be the topics for discussion that I had sent out in that original email. We're going to talk about current developments. We're going to be talking about the Business Improvement Grant, current future events, business services, and training opportunities. So the first slide is current developments, and at the bottom you will actually have a hyperlink when I send this out as a PDF. So you'll be able to click and direct link you to the map itself. But with the current developments, the way our current development map works is that once a first permit is pulled and obtained by the business or residential development, it will then go on this map. So this is your best resource to see any kind of business coming to Cibolo, any kind of home developments if you're kind of looking at the grand picture as far as growth of the city in terms of residents. This is a great map to do it. And I will have some instructions here for you all to navigate manually through the website, just in case you decide not to use the hyperlink, or let's just say you're just wanting to show someone and you can't pull up that PowerPoint. This is the best way to do so. So this will be included in that PowerPoint that I sent out to everybody. The next topic I wanted to hit briefly on was the Business Improvement Grant, or the BIG program, as you'll hear us call it. This is essentially a facade improvement grant program. It's essentially designed to encourage businesses to do visually appealing facade improvements. It's under a tourism grant, so essentially it's for the Old Town District and the FM 78 corridor, since that corridor is the entrance to and from our city as far as the stretch all the way down to about Converse Windcrest area and then to Seguin. So it's a nice opportunity as far as a gateway entrance, especially into our Old Town. So that's why we really want to focus on those 2 areas. And with a facade grant, there's 5 different types of improvements that can be made under this grant. So facade improvement as a whole is simply just improving your storefront. If there is an older siding, for example, you can replace the siding. You could do brick, just anything to improve the quality of the visual, the curbside appeal, essentially. You have sign improvements, property improvements like lighting, sidewalks, driveway improvements, just to make it easily accessible for your customers and safer in some instances. Having lighting at night is always helpful. Demolition of blighted buildings or just eyesores, things that you don't need on the property, as well as new construction. And this only applies to the existing facility. So it wouldn't mean that you could build like an auxiliary building, but you could add on to the existing building that would be the primary area of your business. This map here will show all of the Old Town area that will be eligible for the Business Improvement Grant. It goes pretty far up North Main Street. It encompasses all of South Main Street, so anything south of the railroad track. And it is pretty much all encompassed by the Loop 539. So that's a good kind of indicator If this map doesn't give you the best example, if you know 539 and you know North and South Main Street, this is the best way to visually represent that. Now, in terms of the FM 78 corridor, it pretty much encompasses all of the 78 corridor. Now, with this as well, we do go a little bit further north and south of the corridor. It's purely just for the fact that the tourism doesn't just stop on the curbside of 78. It can also impact a little bit further in as well, because again, 78 does bring into 1103, it does bring into old downtown. So it's important that we emphasize all those entrance areas as well. And again, this map is a good representation of that. All of these will be included in the handout that we send you all. So please don't worry about not being able to fully see exactly where the lines end and begin. Now, of course, if you do have any questions about the big program, I know this was a very quick and brief and condensed version of this, but if you have any questions about it, we're always looking to answer those. We're always taking applications. So if you want the guidelines or an application or have questions, we have a group email at economicdevelopment@cibolotx.gov, or you can always email Kelsey or myself directly for that as well. One of the big points we wanted to talk about was the current and future events, and kind of talk about what ideas the business community had going forward. Typically, we have done Small Business Saturday every year. Small Business Saturday, for those who don't know, is the Saturday right after Black Friday and Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Small Business Saturday. It's a great opportunity to get the community involved in shopping small and shopping local. Usually in the past, and Kelsey can always talk more about this, and she's obviously have done one. I'm new with the city. But with the past one, essentially you get gift cards together, informational pamphlets about the businesses, reference material, goodies, things to put into a bag to entice customers in your area to come and shop with your business. It's essentially just a marketing bag that we then hand out to citizens. And last year, I believe all the bags were delivered to customers, and people actually wanted more. So we're expecting a higher turnout this year. So we're super excited about that. And Kelsey will actually have a poll that she'll post for any business who is interested in answering. It's essentially going to ask you a couple questions in regards to if you've ever participated in Cibolo Small Business Saturday, and then if you can just go ahead and give your responses to that, just so we can kind of see who all has possibly participated, if you guys are interested in participated, if this just isn't really something that interests your business at this time, because it can always change. But with that, we'll keep the poll up and I'll continue on. With other events, we do an annual business appreciation luncheon. We did try to do a breakfast this year. And unfortunately, due to COVID, we had to cancel that just because we were concerned with everyone's safety. But annually, this event is supposed to recognize and say thank you to all of our business owners. You all give so much to our community, whether it be the services you offer, the relationships you build. It's just a nice day to kind of just, turn off the business hat and then just get appreciated by the city and city officials. So once that gets finalized for next year, we will definitely make sure that everyone is made aware of that event. Also, there is city events that we do annually. During the summer, there's Cibolo Summer Nights, and then during the fall, there is Cibolo Fest. Unfortunately, both of those have been also canceled due to COVID, but of course, we're looking to bring those again next year. But this is a great opportunity for businesses to market either through sponsorships, where then their logo will get put onto all of the branding and flyers, but you also have vendor opportunities. So if there's a product you want to sell and you think this would be a good opportunity to meet those markets, this is obviously a great time to do so. And again, once that's finalized for next year, we'll make sure everyone is made aware of that. But we do have one event still going on for this year as approved by City Council. It is the Christmas Parade, which will be on December 12th. I believe it's free floats that can be given to businesses, like businesses can do their floats for the parade. But of course, once we get all that confirmed with the city secretary, I'll make sure that I communicate that with all businesses, just so you have that opportunity. One question I want to pose to everybody before we get to the Q&A, just again, think about this for the end, is what kind of event would you, the Cibolo business community, like to see from the city? One good example of this is we've had some businesses say that they would like to see like a health and wellness fair. We do have some businesses that could benefit from that. But again, we want to make sure that we pose the idea for any type of business to get some kind of benefit from the city in this kind of interaction. So just keep that in mind once we get to the Q&A, and if you have a great suggestion, we would love to hear it. The next slide is going to be business services. This essentially is what the city has to offer to businesses of all varieties and sizes. The business retention and expansion efforts. I have a lot of roles under this umbrella, but the best way I can describe it is that I was hired on to essentially help the businesses that already call Cibolo home. Whether that be ensuring that if there's any issues that I can help address, if you're looking to expand or relocate, I can help give you some property suggestions that were within the city. Essentially, I'm here for you. So that's why I wanted to kind of hold this webinar to kind of have this introduction, since I haven't been able to meet a lot of you face-to-face, obviously, with the current state. But this is a great opportunity for us to kind of meet virtually and then continue the relationship from there. We do have the business list and online directory. It's a business list is the digital design business list that people can print out, you can share, you can keep it your business if you want to help promote other businesses. It's just a nice eye-catching way to kind of promote our businesses. And then the online directory is just a great way to ensure that we have the best Google search optimization for Cibolo and its businesses. So that way, like say for example, business A doesn't really have a web presence because they may not have a website and only a Facebook page. More clicks to the city page brings more people to this online directory and then in turn to the businesses. So it's just another way we can help make that connection between new customers and possibly existing customers who maybe lost your phone number and you've changed and things like that. So it's just a nice way to keep everything readily accessible. And then, of course, during the current climate, the small business and COVID resources, anything from the executive orders from the Texas governor are listed here, funding resources, any kind of partner like the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, all of their information is there. So we keep that up to date just so that way any kind of new information that becomes available, we include in this document. So it's just a concise PDF that has all this information. And of course, we have the link, which will be hyperlinked for you all there. Again, we have another step-by-step on how to access the business services page. Again, it'll be hyperlinked, but it's always good to know how to access these directly from a website should you have questions. And then this last little portion here, I just really want to make sure I bring up, and this is just to make sure that your contact information is up to date. Obviously, with everyone participating in the webinar, I have reached you through email, so that's not an issue. But like, say for example, you decide to pass the torch on as far as communication to someone else within your organization, just make sure that their contact information is provided to us, so we are able to connect with them, provide them with the same information. Say for example, you hire someone to handle all of your email communications, and you don't want any more communication from the city, you have it all redirected towards them, just make sure we have that information. Just because we send out any kind of news, funding resources, primarily through email right now, just because it's the easiest to reach everybody. And the last slide is going to be about training opportunities for businesses. So with this, we wanted to bring up the fact that we had actually really bounced back and forth, especially before COVID, on how we could bring more in-person training opportunities to the city and obviously the business owners and the citizens. And then of course COVID came and face-to-face is no longer really a viable option at this point in time. There are some, but it's extremely limited on space and it wouldn't benefit a large amount of people. So a lot of our partners, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, the Governor's Office, Lift Fund, the Small Business Development Center, they're all offering free, most free webinars, and we decided to go ahead and build a calendar. And this calendar will give you a overview of all of these partners, all of their webinars, dates, cost, and the best link to register. So my best recommendation is if you see anything that interests you, go ahead and register it, because even if you can't attend, they will still send you the recordings afterwards, which is always nice, so that way you can do it at your convenience. But we do have a poll that is live, and it's essentially wanting to ask you, as far as for future events and training opportunities, would you say in-person, virtual, or both would be beneficial? I know that obviously virtual was something that some people didn't like, but unfortunately had to grow accustomed to. So we want to make sure that we get a good reading on what everyone kind of feels. And so right now I can kind of see that it's, both is the primary, and then you kind of have an even split with the other ones. Perfect. And just to let everyone know, just kind of going off of the calendar and the webinars, the end of September is up to date with all of our partners. The October calendar is coming out. We have a lot of them from Lift Fund, but as the other organizations start to let us know about their October webinars, I'll be making sure to update that calendar. So just make sure you always keep up to date. And of course, we'll have the link there for you as well when that gets sent out. So I appreciate everyone going and bearing with me through this whole speech, just because, like I said, we had to do it super quick just so I can make sure we get to the Q&A portion. Again, all of the information will be sent to you directly, so don't worry about if you missed something or if you had any kind of additional questions. It'll all be sent to you, and then of course you can reach back out if you do have any questions. But right now we will actually do the Q&A part from the community. And we did have 2 questions that were submitted to us through the pre-roundtable survey. Kelsey, do you want me to go ahead and answer those, or would you like me to answer those?
Go ahead, Dustin.
Perfect. So the first question was essentially asking, what is the best way for businesses to really benefit from the city events, as well as being a good partner with the city? And I think that is actually a 2-way street. I think the city is moving in the right direction with hiring someone for my position, specifically because that means that there is more open communication, more desire to get that communication. I'm not saying that it wasn't there before, but now, especially with businesses coming in and the city growing, there was definitely a need to have someone dedicated to that role. So I think as long as I'm able to provide you with some sort of benefit and some sort of open communication, and you're willing to respond and engage, I think that will be the first step to really making the best out of the situation and any kind of future events that we may have. Another good thing is just making sure that if you do have any ideas or questions, we are open to receiving those. There's nothing that would prevent you from providing any kind of feedback to us, any kind of ideas. Like I said, we've already had some businesses present the health and wellness fair to us. It's a great idea. I think it's something we would love to look forward to, but again, we're open to all ideas. So, please send them our way. Please, we're always open to that kind of communication. And then in terms of the second question was for the next 1, 3, and 5 years, how can we describe the projections for both the population growth as well as new businesses coming in? I think I could speak for everyone when it's hard to say how many businesses are going to come each year, because making a business and bringing it to any city is always a strenuous process, especially financially, and then going through the process. You may have a solid plan and say, I'm going to open up in 1 year's time and it'll be open up by the end of the year, and then COVID happens, or some other act of nature comes and keeps you from opening your business, so it might be 2 years. So it's always hard to kind of say how many businesses will come in that time frame. But we would always love more. Kelsey is actively marketing the city. She's helping any inquiries that come into the city as far as getting them on the process to opening in Cibolo. So she's never stopping her job, and she's always doing the best she can as far as to get everything in and sorted and getting that process rolling. So thank you, Kelsey, for that. But the other side of that question, which was the population growth, that one's a little bit easier to answer because we can use statistics. So by 2025, we're estimated to have about 40,559 citizens within Cibolo. If we're taking our current population of about 31,000, that would say that every year we're getting almost 2,000 people, so 1,898, so 1,898.6 people. Round up, it's 1,899. So almost 2,000 citizens every single year. So the city is growing. And that was all the questions that we had submitted. So Ms. Lee, do we have any other questions come in?
Sure. We did see a few that are coming in through the Q&A function. So thank you for that. Continue to submit those and we'll address them. The first one, it has to do with that business improvement program. And the question is, does the business improvement grant program grant funding roll over in October? And so short answer is yes. It's a little bit different. It's not necessarily rolling over. However, starting October 1 is a new round of funding. And so with the current budget that was approved by the EDC Board of Directors and then by the City Council at the beginning of September, there is currently $50,000 that's up to 5 business improvement grants that are allocated for the upcoming fiscal year that begins on October 1. So definitely, as we always advise, if you have any questions about the business improvement grant, please contact staff as early as possible, just because, you know, there's about a 30-day review that you need to have it ahead of time before the board meeting, before it's presented. And that way, if you have any questions on how to fill out the paperwork properly, staff is always here to help you. So even if you're not sure if you want to do a business improvement grant, go ahead and reach out to us, and we can kind of give you some additional information to see if it's something that is good for you to pursue. Question number 2 is there an e-packet that you can send with possible FAQs for new businesses, such as how to join the chamber? We do have something very similar to that. If you look at the business resources, or excuse me, small business resources page that Mr. Morris referenced earlier, we do have a lot of hyperlinks to the organizations that we partner with, such as the chamber. We do also have a one-pager. It's kind of a how to start a business in Cibolo quick guide that does have on one page kind of, you know, have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? How do you get your permits in? How do you stay active? Have you engaged SCORE or the chambers or any other organizations that are out there? So we do not have an official e-packet. That's definitely something that Mr. Morris and I can look into if that would be useful from the business community. I think we already have all that information. It's just a matter of compiling it into an easy to digest document. So thank you for that feedback, and we'll definitely take a look at that, and that may be something we can go ahead and make it easier for the businesses. And then question number 3 that's come in is, what types of businesses are we currently lacking that the city feels would be beneficial to the community and profitable for the business owners? So that's great. And I think if you ask 10 people, you'll get kind of 10 different answers, of course. And the short answer is, for us, we want all the businesses. We love all of you guys. We're excited. We're honored whenever you choose to make Cibolo your home. As far as from a numbers perspective, we did have our comprehensive master plan for the city of Cibolo, which was adopted and approved by the city council. And that involved months of public outreach. We had surveys that were going out to citizens. We were trying to get the pulse on what type of demand do they have for services. And a lot of the things that we heard were, of course, service providers. We heard a lot about restaurants in particular. We're doing pretty well on quick service restaurants, but something that's maybe a little more sit down, or offering different types of variety. As you know, we're a very high military population here in Cibolo, and so we're very fortunate to have individuals who have traveled the world and have tried lots of different cuisine styles, and so they're wanting kind of different flavor palettes here in the city. We also see a lot of demand for child services, and then we have some great learning centers that are here in Cibolo that do well for the community. We see a lot of need for even retail, sporting goods. We have a large, as you know, in South Texas, sports are king, and football in particular. And so we do see a lot of demand for youth sports and products and services that can help accommodate that, as well as on the other side, things like sports medicine doctors. And we've heard a demand for that, as well as we're starting to, everyone does age. And so having some medical services that can support kind of an aging population as well. Those are kind of the things that we hear, and were a result of that public outreach that we had there. And so that is the end of the questions that we've received. We'll kind of keep it open for just another minute or so to see if anything comes in. But really do want to thank you all for taking your time out of your day. We understand as business owners, there's a million things that are, vying for your time. And so we're definitely honored and appreciate that you've chosen to spend your time with us and to learn more about the services that we have here. We will make sure that there's a recording that gets sent out. I know Mr. Morris is going to send out the slides and hyperlink it, so that way it's a little bit easier to access everything. But really, from my side, I'm going to stop talking now and turn it over to Mr. Morris for some closing remarks. But again, thank you. If there's a question that you suddenly think of, at 12:01, please feel free to email us, call us. This isn't the end of our conversation. We are at your disposal. We're here to help. You guys are the reasons why we're here. So just thank you again, our sincere appreciation. Mr. Morris, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Kelsey. And thank you for all the questions as well. Those are actually very great questions. Again, I wanted to say thank you for kind of bearing with me as we kind of had to barrel through that presentation, just again, so we could get to the Q&A. But one thing I really did want to still ask the business community, and just you put in the chat if you would like, what kind of events would you like to see from the city, especially since there was a large majority of people who kind of would like both in terms of training opportunities and events. What kind of events would you like to see? What kind of training would you like to see? Just so that way staff has a pretty good idea of the direction that you all would like to see us go, whether that be bringing the SBA down to talk about business loans and how to fund properly, whether it be the Small Business Development Center, UTSA, or like the Health and Wellness Fair, or like I said, what kind of events would the city like to see? I would love to hear the kind of that kind of feedback. So I'll actually keep the chat open just in case anyone would like to leave any kind of remarks. And of course, if you don't want to make it public, you can always send it to any one of our emails. Again, we could talk privately about that matter too. Also, just as we wait, just to see if anyone puts any kind of responses in, I will have a post survey link for everyone that I will send out. So this way you can go ahead and provide us feedback anonymously if you choose. You can also leave your name if you wish, but it's just to help us learn and grow. This was our first time doing this kind of event. Definitely a little bit of some learning that we have to do, some new things we would like to try. But like I said, any feedback is welcome and appreciated. Let's see. So I don't see anything coming through, but again, like I said, if that's something you'd like to send to us via email personally, so we can answer privately, that's fine too. And then of course, if you don't have any suggestions right now, but like Kelsey was saying at 12:01, if you have anything come through, we would love to hear about that. Actually, it looks like one came through. Okay, so someone recommended that there be some training about general HR laws related to small business operations. So we can definitely look into doing that. I know that the UTSA Small Business Development Center has a couple of webinars. I believe that have not yet occurred. I know there was one yesterday, but there still should be some for October that will be coming up. But we, of course, would love to reach out and get something scheduled one-on-one for the city of Cibolo. And then, of course, once we reach out and see what the answer and response is, we can definitely go ahead and work forward and see what the reception is, and then proceed forward if that's something that everyone would like to see. Looks like there was one about employee lease organizations versus hiring, professional development for employees in small organizations. So with those, I again think that the UTSA Small Business Development Center would be great for those. What I will do is I will compile all of these and reach out today and see if that's something that they are able to work out with us. If it's one big seminar or if there's something they can do in pieces. That way, it's not a long seminar, and you can, again, you don't have to attend, but you can get recordings if you register. Just that way it's a little bit more easily to digest. We can definitely work on that. Let's see. And I believe that was everything that was submitted to us through chat. And it looks like it is about 12 o'clock. So like I said, I'll make sure that I reach out and see if we can set up those webinars for everyone. Again, right now, the SBDC is only doing virtual. However, we will see if maybe we can revisit these again. Probably when we can have these in-person training events, because we would love to do that. I will make sure that I send out the PowerPoint with all the information and everything. It will be hyperlinked for your convenience. And then I will work on the recording and have that sent out to everyone by the end of the week as well. Everyone that is participating, I will have all of your contact information already because you did pre-register. So anytime we have future roundtables, I'll make sure that that gets sent out as a priority to you all since you were first-time attendees. And then like I said, welcome any kind of feedback from that post survey link that we'll be sending out. That's all the closing remarks I had. I, again, sincerely appreciate everyone's time for participating and giving all of the great questions and the great comments. I appreciate everyone sitting through and, you know, being willing to receive this information, especially on a trial run. So it's very heartwarming to see such great engagement from the city and as well as the businesses. Kelsey, do you have any remarks? Perfect. Okay, guys, so I will go ahead and end this at 12 o'clock. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Go eat some lunch if you have not yet. Again, any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to city staff at that group email that will be provided or directly to Kelsey or myself. Okay, guys? Bye. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.